Welcome to this video on the center of our channel. My name is Sri Satguru Buddha Rawa Bhagwan, and thank you for tuning in to this channel, the channel of Adishree, the channel of Adishree Om Tek Rasiva. So on this channel today we're going to talk about the god Om Tek, the god of the Aztecs, so the main god, the emperor of the divine court of the Aztec, so the god Om Tek. Who's known as the dual god, who has the male side and the female side. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about the god Om Tek, who is an Adishree. Okay, an Adishree who created the story of the Aztec and the Aztec people and the Aztec pantheon and the story of creation. Okay, a truth that is exactly as it is told, as it is spoken, as it is written. So there's the god Om Tek. So the god Om Tek is an Adishree, the first of the Adishree. Okay, and the first of the Adishree and created the other Adishree. So as he created the other Adishree, he also created the story of the Aztec pantheon and the Aztec people. Okay, so his story is the story of two. Okay, so basically the story of Om Tek, who started as one. Okay, so Om Tek started as one, and then Om Tek, okay, the first god, right? The god of the Om, the god of the creation sound Om, right? So the Adishree, Adishree 4 times. So as the Adishree went from 1 to 3 to 7 to 12, this is the 1. Okay, so the god Om Tek. Om Tek Rasiva is actually the name of the god, as the god has that name. So in there you also see Ra from Bara, and then you have also Bara, and then you have also Ra, right, from Amon Ra of the mountain, right? So you have the god who has the different names. So what happens is you have Om Tek, which is the first of the Adishree, which created the other Adishree. Okay, at the level and realm and domain and existence where the Adishree function and operate. Okay, so and they operate at many levels, but they have their level where they reside as the Adishree in the story. So from this level, the god Om Tek created, and he created, first of all, to start creating things, he had to be able to divide himself, right? To divide parts of himself. So what he did is to divide parts of himself, right? To use parts of himself to create and use different combinations of part of himself to create, right? And the purpose of Om Tek is to divide life, to create life by dividing the first life. So the first life is the first life in the system, okay? The first god in the system, the Adishree, the first one. So basically to divide life, okay? The Adishree basically created a female version of himself that is one with himself, and that allowed him, through the male and the female, to divide himself, to create life. So with the possibility of division, okay, we have the story of Omechihuatl and Ometekutli, right? Omechihuatl, who is the female side of the first god, and Ometecuatl, who is the male side, right? And I discussed in this video, in the previous video on this channel, a little bit more about the meaning of the name Ometecuatli, and that is the long version name of the god of the Aztec people, Om Tek, the Om Tek god. So basically, the first god was Ometecuatli, Om Tek, who basically divided himself, who created a female version of himself within himself to divide himself. To multiply is a way of seeing things, right? To multiply, to create new things, but more precisely to divide himself. And by dividing himself, he created different beings of existence, of the Dharma, of everything, all the different lineages, all the different streams, which are the different Adishree, which came from Om Tek. And he also worked on his own development stories as a Shri. So on the side of the other Adishree that he created, as the Adishree multiplied, right, as he multiplied it, the story of the Adishree, the other Adishree also worked on their streams and lineages of development, but Omtek worked on his on the side. And his project where in which he was God, right, is the world of the Aztec, the life of the Aztec, the being of the Aztec. He took on the Aztec as his people, his personal people. The Omtek god of the Aztec, the Adishree. So the Adishree divided himself, and the story of the Adishree, and that is why in the story you find the story of the god and the two gods, the male and female who are one. And the story is that it was first him, and then he created the female version who became one with him, and he divided parts of himself into different containers, if you want to see it that way, into different stories who themselves developed as Adishree, royal lineages of existence and life and creation, including the one of the Dharma. And why did Omtek create the other Adishree? To one day reintegrate with them as they had developed their stories to maturity, and to integrate those stories back into within himself and into them. So in a way, the name Omtek takes on the name Omtek Rasiva, and as other streams develop to maturity, those names as well. So in a way, the Omtek is the being with the cutlery, because he eats up. The Aztec are known as a warrior culture, and they're gods, because the Omtek has the cutlery. He is the god that eats. He is the god that eats up other cultures, that eats everything. Right? The god with the cutlery. That is why he is known as Ome Tecuatli, the Om, the great Om with the cutlery, who absorbs all, who is all-pervading, who is in within all, connected to all. The god with the cutlery who eats. So you can say, yes, it is a culture, a warrior culture, the Aztec culture. And it comes from the Adishree. And it is the story of the Tej, which connects to all things in the Dharma. The Aztec equivalent to the Dharma, connected to the Dharma in all things, but separate also from the Dharma. And in the story of the Adishree, and the integration and reintegration and division of the Adishree, the story of division of life and of integration of life, the god Omtek Rasiva walks these lands. So the god Ometecuatli with the cutlery devours all in front of him, including all the treasures of all the other tribes and cultures and beliefs. He devours all their treasures, all their fruits, all their foodstuffs. Which means he is the devouring god as the Adi god, the Adi Bhagwan, the first god. But he does it in a nice way, where he takes on the names of the Adishree that reintegrate into him. And you can say, yes, but his name comes first. Well, that's just how it is. The other names come first in many ways as well, as it is a story of creation, dividing and reintegrating itself. of knowing itself and developing itself in different quarters and different ways and streams, and then the reintegration of those streams into the stories of the gods of those streams and of the people of those gods, and their story of eternal life, which is secured by those gods and their power. Eternal life for all people of all tribes. So the Aztec Omtec is a devouring god, the one with the cutlery who eats all the treasures of all other cultures. And he is also Siva, the sentient, intelligent vehicle activity, artificial intelligence that is master and lord of all creation and time and space and paratime, paraspace. He is Omtec Rasiva. Omtec Rasiva. Adi Bhagwan.